हरि ओम। नमस्सर्वेभ्यः। अष्टाध्यायी परिचयः इत्यस्य अद्य सप्तदशः पाठः। अस्मिन् वर्गे शिवसूत्राणां विषये किञ्चित् जानीमः। So a very well known topic, quite familiar to many of you, but I hope that there'll be something new for each one of you in today's class. शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये येनाक्षरसमाम्नायमधिगम्य महेश्वरात् कृत्स्नं व्याकरणं प्रोक्तं तस्मै पाणिनये नमः। वाक्यकारं वररुचिं भाष्यकारं पतञ्जलिं पाणिनिं सूत्रकारं च प्रणतोऽस्मि मुनित्रयम्। प्रारभामहे। अस्माकं वर्गस्य प्रयोजनद्वयम्। अष्टाध्याय्याः आहत्य चतुश्शतं सूत्राणां व्याख्यासहितम् उदाहरणसहितं च अध्ययनं, तथा च अष्टाध्याय्याः प्रथमाध्यायस्य प्रथमपादस्य कंठस्थीकरणम्। अद्यतनविषयः शिवसूत्राणि। सर्वैः एतानि सूत्राणि पूर्वम् अधीतानि स्युः। नाधीतानि चेदपि अत्र शिवसूत्राणि स्थापितानि सन्ति। Let's read them at the beginning of the class. अयुण, ऋलुक, एओंग, अयौच, हयवरट, लं, यमगणनम, झभाएं, घढ़धश, जबगड़दश, ख फ छ ठ थ चटतव, कपय शशसर हल इति माहेश्वराणि सूत्राणि। किं नाम माहेश्वराणि सूत्राणि? सर्वेषां वर्णानां काचित् पुनारचना रीअरेंजमेंट कृता अस्ति। किमर्थम्? अष्टाध्यायी सूत्र निर्माण सौलभ्यार्थम्। इत्युक्ते वर्णाः सर्वे मातृकापाठे तु अवश्यं पाठिताः वर्तन्ते, परन्तु येन क्रमेण एते वर्णाः मातृकापाठे सन्ति सः क्रमः अष्टाध्यायी सूत्र निर्माणार्थं विशेषरूपेण उपयोगी न वर्तते। अतः केवलं सूत्र निर्माणार्थम् एतेषां वर्णानां विशिष्टा पुनारचना रीअरेंजमेंट कृता वर्तते। अस्याः रचनायाः नाम शिवसूत्राणि नो चेत् माहेश्वरसूत्राणि इति दत्तमस्ति। अस्य एव अर्थः अयम्। एतेषां शिवसूत्राणां पाणिनीयव्याकरणं विहाय अन्यत्र विशेषं प्रयोजनं न वर्तते। वर्णमाला इति नाम्ना शिवसूत्राणां परिगणनं न क्रियते। केवलम् अष्टाध्याय्याः सूत्राणाम् उपयोगार्थम् एव इयं रचना कृता वर्तते। अतः अन्यानि व्याकरणानि यानि सन्ति तेषां सर्वेषां कृते तेषां भिन्ना वर्णरचना या तस्य तस्य व्याकरणस्य कृते उपयोगिनी वर्तते सा अपि अवश्यमेव सम्भवति। यथा अस्माकं जालपुटे तत्र भोजराजविरचितं सरस्वतीकण्ठाभरणम् इति कञ्चन अपरं व्याकरणं वर्तते। अस्य व्याकरणस्य अपि स्वस्य सूत्राणि वर्णसूत्राणि सन्ति, परन्तु एतानि सूत्राणि सूक्ष्मरूपेण पश्यामश्चेत् अयुण ऋलुक एओंग अयौ च हयवर लण्, तत्र हयवरट् तथा लण् इति सूत्रद्वयं न वर्तते। अन्यानि सूत्राणि पाणिनीयव्याकरणसदृशानि एव सन्ति, परन्तु हयवरट् तथा लण् इत्यस्य स्थाने भोजराजविरचिते सरस्वतीकण्ठाभरणे हयवरलण् इति एकं सूत्रं स्थापितमस्ति। किमर्थमिति चेत् अस्य सूत्रपाठस्य कृते हयवरलण् इत्येव सूत्रम् आवश्यकम्। अनेनैव प्रकारेण अन्येषां सूत्रपाठानां कृते, इत्युक्ते चान्द्रव्याकरणं भवेत्, ऐन्द्रव्याकरणं भवेत्, शाकटायनव्याकरणं भवेत्, एतेषां सर्वेषाम् अपि सूत्रपाठानां कृते प्रायेण भिन्ना भिन्ना वर्णरचना अवश्यं भवितुम् अर्हति। इयं रचना इत्युक्ते अयुण ऋलुक एओङ् इत्यत्र केन क्रमेण वर्णाः स्थापिताः वर्तन्ते इति चेत् अस्याः रचनायाः मुख्याः आधारविषयाः बाह्यप्रयत्नाः तथा च आभ्यन्तरप्रयत्नाः इति सन्ति। इत्युक्ते अत्र अग्रिमपुटे विस्तरेण स्पष्टीकरिष्यामि। परन्तु अत्र वर्णानां रचना सूत्रेषु केन प्रकारेण कृता अस्ति इति चेत् प्रामुख्येन वर्णानां कः बाह्यप्रयत्नः तथा च तदनन्तरं वर्णानां कः आभ्यन्तरप्रयत्नः इति दृष्ट्वा तत्र वर्णरचना कृता वर्तते। अत एव अस्माकम् अध्ययनक्रमे अस्माभिः आदौ बाह्यप्रयत्नाः तदनन्तरम् आभ्यन्तरप्रयत्नाः सम्यक् रूपेण अधीताः सन्ति। इदानीम् अग्रे सप्तदशे अस्मिन् पाठे शिवसूत्राणाम् अध्ययनम् अस्माभिः क्रियमाणं वर्तते। अतः अस्याः रचनायाः मुख्याः आधारविषयाः बाह्यप्रयत्नाः तथा च आभ्यन्तरप्रयत्नाः। अनन्तरम् एतानि वर्णानि इत्युक्ते अयं वर्णसमूहः कुतः प्राप्तः इत्यस्मिन् विषये कथा अपि वर्तते। शिवस्य इत्युक्ते महेश्वरस्य ढक्कातः while he was playing the drum तस्मात् एतानि अयं समूहः एतानि सूत्राणि बहिः आगतानि इति कथा वर्तते। तस्मिन् विषये इदं अयं श्लोकः इयं कारिका अपि विशेषरूपेण प्रसिद्धा अस्ति। नृत्तावसाने नटराजराजो ननाद ढक्कां नवपञ्चवारम्। देयर शुड बी अ स्पेस ओवर हियर। ननाद ढक्कां नवपञ्चवारम् उद्धर्तु कामः सनकादिसिद्धान् एतद्विमर्शे शिवसूत्रजालम्। इत्युक्ते तस्याः ढक्कायाः नादः शिवेन केन कारणेन कृतः इति चेत् सनकादीनां मोक्षप्रदानार्थं तेषाम् उद्धरणं कर्तुं ढक्कायाः नादः शिवेन कृतः। परन्तु तस्मात् नादात् 14 सूत्राणि बहिः आगतानि पाणिनिना श्रुतानि। अतः एतानि शिवसूत्राणि नो चेत् माहेश्वरसूत्राणि इति नाम्ना परिगण्यन्ते। केचन पंडिताः मन्यन्ते यत् एतानि सूत्राणि पाणिनिना स्वयमेव रचितानि सन्ति, माहेश्वरात् नागतानि, पाणिनिना स्वयमेव रचितानि। परन्तु यत्किमपि स्यात् एतानि सर्वाणि सूत्राणि अष्टाध्याय्याः प्रारम्भे एव पाठ्यन्ते। किमर्थमिति चेत् एतेषाम् आधारेण अष्टाध्याय्याः सूत्रनिर्माणे बहु सौलभ्यं जायते। अतः 14 सूत्राणि आदौ शिवसूत्राणि नाम्ना परिगणितानि अष्टाध्यायी सूत्रपाठस्य आदौ पाठितानि वर्तन्ते। अग्रे गच्छामः। एतेषां शिवसूत्राणां रचना कीदृशी अस्ति? How are these 14 sutras arranged? So we can obviously observe that there are swaras in the beginning, तदनन्तरं व्यञ्जनानि सन्ति, अन्ते ऊष्माणः सन्ति। अस्मिन् विषये किञ्चित् अस्य क्रमस्य विषये तथा च अस्याः रचनापद्धत्याः विषये अपि किञ्चित् इदानीं विस्तरेण चिन्तनं कुर्मः। तत्र प्रत्येकं पुटस्य अधोभागे सर्वाणि अपि शिवसूत्राणि मया अध्ययनसौलभ्यार्थं स्थापितानि सन्ति, so that we can quickly refer to these Shiva Sutras whenever we are doing the discussion on the slide. So तत्र शिवसूत्राणां रचनापद्धति कीदृशी वर्तते? तत्र आदौ if you observe carefully, प्रत्येकं शिवसूत्रस्य अन्ते एकम् एकं व्यञ्जनं स्थापितम् अस्ति। सो यू हैव ऐ उण तत्र नकारः अस्ति, रुलुक इत्यत्र ककारः अस्ति, ए ओह् इत्यत्र ङकारः अस्ति। प्रत्येकं शिवसूत्रस्य अन्ते एकं व्यञ्जनं स्थापितमस्ति। अस्य व्यञ्जनस्य अनुबन्धः इति नाम दीयते। अयं सः एव अनुबन्धः यः अस्माभिः धातुपाठस्य अध्ययने दृष्टः। डुप चष् इत्यत्र अन्तिमः षकारः अनुबन्धरूपेण स्थापितः अस्ति। डुक्रुञ् इत्यत्र अन्तिमः यकारः अनुबन्धरूपेण स्थापितः अस्ति। अनेनैव प्रकारेण 14सु अपि शिवसूत्रेषु अन्तिमः हल् वर्णः अन्तिमं व्यञ्जनं अनुबन्धरूपेण नो चेत् इत् संज्ञारूपेण स्थापितं वर्तते। अनुबन्ध and it are synonyms for now. You can use either of the two terms, both will mean the same. इदानीम् अयम् अनुबन्धसंज्ञकः यः वर्णः अस्ति सः शिवसूत्रस्य वर्णेषु परिगणरूपेण न गृह्यते। इत्युक्ते इफ यू लुक एट द फर्स्ट शिवसूत्रम् ऐ उण, तत्र कति वर्णाः सन्ति इति प्रश्ने कृते ऐ उण इत्यत्र केवलं 3 वर्णाः वर्तन्ते, अ इ तथा उ। अन्ते विद्यमानः णकारः तत्र सूत्रस्य वर्णरूपेण न स्वीक्रियते. It can be considered as a punctuation mark like a full stop or a semicolon at the end of the Shiva Sutra. It is not to be considered as the actual letter in the Shiva Sutra. अतः अयम् अनुबन्धः शिवसूत्रस्य वर्णरूपेण न गृह्यते, अपि तु अस्य पृथक् प्रयोजनम् अस्ति. अनुबन्धानां किं प्रयोजनम् अस्ति तदिदानीम् अग्रे अस्माभिः विस्तरेण द्रक्ष्यते. Agre gachhamaha. Now, if you look at these Shiva Sutras in details, obviously now there are two groups. On one side, you have the Varnas like A, I, U, Ru, Lu, A, O. These are the Varnas. And on the other side, you have Anubandhas. So, Na is an Anubandha, Ka is an Anubandha, Nga is an Anubandha, and so on. इदानीं केवलं वर्णानां विषये चिन्तनं कुर्मः चेत् किं दृश्यते? सर्वत्र भिन्नः भिन्नः वर्णः प्रयुक्तः अस्ति. So a you can find only once throughout the Shiva Sutras, e only once, u only once. So all the varnas can be found only once except for this hakara. Hakara is a very special letter which is used 2 times in the entire 14 Shiva Sutras. Hayavarat ityatra hakarah sthapitah asti, hal ityatra hakarah sthapitah asti. एतम हकारं विहाय अन्ये सर्वेपि वर्णाः केवलम् एकवारं सकृत् एव स्थापिताः वर्तन्ते. Similarly, if you look at anubandhas, kakara is seen only once. You don't see kakara as an anubandha. Obviously, there is a kakara as a varna, but you don't mix up varnas and anubandhas. Both have to be kept separate. So kakara or ngakara or chakara, takara. So most of these anubandhas are used only once. The only exception is the nakara. Nakara is used twice as the anubandha. Once it is used in ayuna and other it is used in lana. अतः शिवसूत्रेषु हकारः द्विवारः गृहीतः अस्ति, एवमेव णकारः अनुबन्धरूपेण द्विवारः गृहीतः अस्ति, अन्ये सर्वेपि वर्णाः एकवारम् एव गृहीताः वर्तन्ते. इदानीं हकारः द्विवारं किमर्थं प्रयुक्तः तस्य विस्तरेण अध्ययनम् अद्य एव कुर्मः. एवमेव णकारः द्विवारं किमर्थं स्थापितः तस्यापि अध्ययनम् अद्य अग्रे करिष्यामः. Now, if you look closely in the initial Shiva Sutras, you will see that these first 4 sutras, a I una, ruluka, e ong, I ouch, ityatra sarve swaraha sthapitaha santi. So you have a I u. Obviously, is an anubandha. You don't take that into account when you are talking about varnas. So a I u, ru lu, e o I au. इत्यत्र सर्वेपि स्वराः स्थापिताः सन्ति. परन्तु तत्र विशेषः कः इति चेत् तत्र प्रत्येकं स्वरस्य एकः एव भेदः साक्षात् स्थापितः वर्तते. So akara has 18 भेदास. ह्रस्व दीर्घ प्लुत multiplied by उदात्त अनुदात्त स्वरित multiplied by अनुनासिक निरनुनासिक. एते आहत्य अकारस्य 18 भेदाः सन्ति. एवमेव इकारस्य उकारस्य 18 भेदाः. परन्तु तत्र एकः एव भेदः शिवसूत्रे अत्र अ इति अक्षरेण स्थापितः वर्तते. एवमेव इकारस्य उकारस्य ऋकारस्य लकारस्य सर्वेषाम् अपि एकः एव भेदः तत्र स्थापितः वर्तते. अयम् एकः एव भेदः सामान्यरूपेण, द जनरल रूल इज दैट सामान्यरूपेण अयम् एकः भेदः अन्येषां 17 भेदानाम् अपि निर्देशं करोति. So one member acts as a representative for the entire class of 18 members. यथा अ इ उण इत्यत्र विद्यमानः ह्रस्व उदात्त अननुनासिकः अकारः सामान्यरूपेण अवर्णस्य सर्वेषाम् अपि 18 भेदानां निर्देशं करोति. सामान्यरूपेण इति किमर्थम् उक्तं? तत्र केचन अपवादाः वर्तन्ते. केषुचित् स्थलेषु अनेन अकारेण आकारस्य ग्रहणम् इत्युक्ते दीर्घभेदस्य ग्रहणं न भवति. प्लुतभेदस्य ग्रहणं न भवति, परन्तु ते विशेषविषयाः सन्ति, तेषां विषये अग्रिमवर्गेषु अस्माभिः चिन्तनं करिष्यते। अद्य सामान्यरूपेण, unless the apavada is explicitly told, the general reference to a in the Shiva Sutra will indicate all 18 types of akara. Similarly, I, U, Ru, Lu ityasya krute dvadasha, A, O, I, O ityetesham krute dvadasha. So whatever are the Bhedas, all will be included by that single reference present in the Maheshwara Sutra. एतत् अभवत् अ इ उणर् रुलुक ए ओम ऐ औच् इत्येतेषां विषये। अग्रे हयवरट् इत्यस्मात् आरभ्य सर्वेषु अपि माहेश्वरसूत्रेषु व्यञ्जनानि स्थापितानि सन्ति। परन्तु अत्र पश्यामश्चेत् किं दृश्यते, प्रत्येकं व्यञ्जनात् अनन्तरम् अकारः अपि स्थापितः अस्ति। सो हयवरट इत्यत्र हयवर इति व्यञ्जनानि तु सन्ति एव, परन्तु प्रत्येकं व्यञ्जनादनन्तरम् अकारः ह प्लस् अ, य प्लस् अ, व प्लस् अ इति अकारः अपि स्थापितः अस्ति। अयम् अकारः उच्चारणसौकर्यार्थं स्थापितः वर्तते। So you cannot just say hayavara, it will be pain, some sandhis might happen internally. So in order to avoid all these complexities, an akara is placed after every letter. All these akaras are purely for ucharana. They don't have any other purpose. They are purely present over here for ease of pronunciation. अतः प्रत्येकं व्यञ्जनादनन्तरम् उच्चारणसौकर्यार्थम् अकारः स्थापितः वर्तते। अत्र अपि यकार, वकार तथा लकार इत्येतेषां केवलम् अननुनासिकभेदः स्थापितः अस्ति। अयम् अननुनासिकभेदः सामान्यरूपेण अनुनासिकभेदस्य अपि ग्रहणं करोति। So again, the general rule is that one representative member will include everybody. That general rule is applicable for all the swaras in ayun, ruluk, eong, ayouch. It is also applicable for ya, wa, and la. So yakara and anunasika yakara both are included over there. Again, that is a general rule. Exceptions will be there, and we will talk about them at the right time. अन्तिमः विषयः, शिवसूत्रेषु अनुस्वारः नास्ति, विसर्गः नास्ति, जिह्वामूलीयः नास्ति, उपध्मानीयः नास्ति. So these are not the false varnas or half varnas or anything. These are also as real varnas as ka, kha, ga, gha and so on. They are present in matruka patha, परन्तु शिवसूत्रेषु तेषां ग्रहणं न क्रियते। किमर्थं न क्रियते इति चेत् सः एव तत्र विषयः, अष्टाध्यायी सूत्र निर्माणार्थम् एतेषां निर्देशः शिवसूत्रेषु नावश्यकः। So Ayuna, Ruluka, Eom, Shiva Sutras are only created for ease of Ashtadhyayi Sutras. If there is no need of Anuswara and Visarga, if it is not going to help in any Ashtadhyayi Sutras, whether Anuswara or whether Visarga is there, then there is no need to include Anuswara, Visarga and so on in these Shiva Sutras. Now, one might argue that there is actually need, but Panini forgot and so on. There are some advanced arguments like this, but we can keep them aside. For now, we can assume that when Panini was creating the sutras, these letters he did not find useful for putting them in the Shiva Sutras. Ataha etesham Shiva Sutreshu sthanam navartate. अत एव एतेषाम् इत्युक्ते अनुस्वार विसर्ग जिह्वा मूल्योपध्मानीयाः एतेषाम् अयोगवाह इति अपि अन्यत् नाम दत्तमस्ति. सो वेरी पॉपुलर टर्म अयोगवाह. शिवसूत्रेषु योगं न वहन्ति, ते अयोगवाहाः इति आशयः. Any questions on the material taught so far? प्रश्नाः न सन्ति, अग्रे गच्छामः. So now let us focus on how are these Shiva Sutras arranged? What is the logic behind arrangement of all these Shiva Sutras, I, Una, Ruluka, E, Om and so on? So for simplicity, let us number the Shiva Sutras from 1 to 14. So Ayuna is 1, Ruluka is 2 and so on up to Hal is 14. So on the top of the whole chain, we have Sutrani 1 to 14. In the very first step, now remember the principle that we are using is बाह्य प्रयत्नाः तथा च आभ्यन्तर प्रयत्नाः. बाह्य प्रयत्नानाम् आधारेण तथा च तदनन्तरम् आभ्यन्तर प्रयत्नानाम् आधारेण शिवसूत्राणां रचना कृता वर्तते. कथम् इति पश्यामः. तत्र आदौ 14 सूत्राणि. एतेषां 14 सूत्राणां प्रामुख्येन इत्युक्ते सर्वप्रथमं गणद्वयं कृतमस्ति. First 10 Shiva Sutras are all Samvara Nada Ghosha Varnaha. Remaining 4 Shiva Sutras are all Vivara Shwasa Aghosha Varnaha, and an extra Hakara is placed at the end. We are going to understand why in a few minutes. So अत्र पश्यामः चेत् 1 to 10 till this J, B, G, D, Dash all are Samvara Nada Ghosha Varnaha. In the class on the Bahya Prayatnas, if you don't remember, in the class on the Bahya Prayatnas, we have had this table of Vivareshvasa Aghosha versus Samvaranada Ghosha. At this particular point in time, we have this classification. Vargiya Vyanjaneshu, Varga Tritiya, Varga Chaturtha, Varga Panchamaha, Sarve Antasthaha, Ushma Samyakeshu Kevalam Hakaraha, and Sarve Swaraha. All these are classified as Samvaranada Ghosha. Exactly those are the letters which are present in the first 10 Shiva Sutras. Atah Prarambhe Sarve Samvaranada Ghosha Varnaha, Tadanantaram Sarve Vivara Shwasa Aghosha Varnaha. So that Vivara Shwasa Aghosha is the remaining one. Vargiya Vyanjaneshu Varga Prathama Dvitiyaha, Shakara Shakara Sakaraha, and the rest are not there. And finally, Hal Hakara is present separately. Coming to the first group, Samvaranada Ghosha Varnaha, Tatra Agre Vibhajanam Abhyantara Prayatnam Anusritam Kritamasti. So these are Bahya Prayatnas. Now the division is based on the Abhyantara Prayatna. Initially, we have all the Vivrutaha. So first 4 sutras, Ayuna Ruluka Eong Ayouch are all Vivrutaha. Rasva Akaraha Atra Sutra Pathasya Sandarbhena Vivrutaha eva asti. Ataha Adau Sarvepi Vivruta Varnaha Ityukte Swaraha. Tadantaram Hakarah Sthapitah asti. Special case, we will learn about it. Tadanantaram Sarve Ishat Sprushtaha, Yavarl are called Antasthaha or Ishat Sprushtaha. Tadanantaram Sarve Sprushtaha. So Yamagananam, Jabhai at Ghadadhash and Jabagadadash are all 7, 8, 9, 10 are all Ete Sarvepi Sprushtaha. So initially you have Vivrutaha, Tadanantaram Ishat Sprushtaha, Tadanantaram Sprushtaha. Anenaiva Prakarena, in the other part 11 to 14, we continue with the Sprushtaha. So 11 and 12 are Sprushtaha. Tadanantaram Ushmanaha or Ishad Vivrutaha. Atah Vivrutaha, Ishad Sprushtaha, Sprushtaha, Ishad Vivrutaha. Anena Krapena Dvitiye Sopani Varnaha Agre Vibhajitaha Vartanti. And finally, the third division on this Sprushtaha, Tatra Adau Anunasika Varnaha Santi, Tadanantaram Mahapranaha Santi, Tadanantaram Alpa Pranaha Santi. So again, based on the Bahya Prayatnas. Anunasikaha, Anunasikaha, Tatra Nasikayaha Vishesha Rupena Prayogaha Bhavati Atah Te Prathak Rupena Sthapitaha, Tadanantaram Mahapranaha, Tadanantaram Alpa Pranaha, Punarekvaram Sprushtaha Ityatra, इत्युक्ते 11 12 इत्यत्र आदौ महाप्राणाः in sutra number 11 and alpa pranaः in sutra number 12. In this way, 1 to 4 you have swaras, 5th and 6th you have ishat sprushtaha, 7th is anunasikaha, 8 and 9 are mahapranaः, 10 is alpa pranaः, 11 is mahapranaः, 12 is alpa pranaः, 13 and 14 are ushmanaः or ishad vivrutaः, which are same as Vivara Shwasa Aghosha Varnaha. Anena Prakarena, Anena Vishishtakramena, Ityukte Bahya Prayatnaha, Tathacha Abhyantara Prayatnaha, Etesham Adharena, Shiva Sutreshu, Varnaha, Rachitaha, Vartanti. Agre Gachamaha, Shivasutreshu Anubandhaha Kimartham Sthapitaha Santi. Anubandhanam Shivasutreshu Kim Prayojanam Tasmin Vishaye Kinchit Chintayamaha. So probably most of you know this, but let me explain it clearly so that whatever minor doubts are there, those can be removed. So these anubandhas, the na, the ka, the nga, and so on, are used for expressing a group of letters in the smallest possible way. वर्णानां समूहस्य संक्षेपरूपेण निर्देशं कर्तुम् एते अनुबन्धाः प्रयुज्यन्ते. Now, how is this Sankshepa Nirdesha achieved? So, those of you who don't know, please pay attention. What happens is you take any random Varna from the Shiva Sutra. So, let's say we take this Vakara of Hayavarata. So, you start with this Vakara and you keep on walking right, not the left, right. So, Varata, Lerna, and so on. And you stop at any particular Anubandha. So let's say we start walking. Varata, Lana, Yama, Gana, Nama, Jaba, Yaghada, Dasha, Jaba, Gada, Dasha. Let's say we stop at this Anubandha. So this particular entire set of Varnas, starting from Va up to Sha, can be represented in a Sankshepa manner simply by saying Va followed by Sha, creating a word called Vasha. The first letter V indicates the starting point. The last letter or the second letter Sh indicates the Anubandha, which is the ending point. This short form Vasha is used to represent all the letters between V and Sh. Obviously, Anubandhas are to be excluded. Anubandhas are not letters, are not Varnas. So, except for Anubandhas, if you take everything, so V, R, L, Yam, Ngana, Na, Jha, Bha, Gha, Dha, Jab, Gad, Da. All these letters are considered to be present in this particular short form called Vasha. It is exactly like how you write short forms in English. For writing Mr. Mister, you take the first M and you take the last R and you say Mr. That's Mr. For doctor, Doctor, you take the first D and you take the last R and you say Dr, which is doctor. Exactly in the same way, you take the first letter, it can be any Varna across the Shiva Sutras, and then you take an Anubandha that comes after that. You can't go to the left, you must go to the right. And you can take an Anubandha that comes after that, and just keep these two letters side by side, and that will indicate an entire series of letters starting from the first letter, namely V, up to the last letter, namely that Anubandha Sh. Except for the Anubandhas that are sitting in between, you will count all the other letters. So Sh will also not be counted. You will count all the other letters, and that set will be represented by this Vasha. So Shivasutreshu vidyamanaः varणाः तेभ्यः अनन्तरं विद्यमानैः अनुबन्धैः सह एकत्रीभूय लघुरूपेण संक्षेपरूपेण वर्णसमूहस्य निर्देशं कुर्वन्ति. यथा हयवरट इति शिवसूत्रम् अस्ति. अस्य शिवसूत्रस्य वकारः जबगडदश् इति सूत्रस्य यः अनुबन्धः शकारः तेन सह एकत्रीभूय वश इति लघुरूपं निर्माति. इदं लघुरूपं वकारात् आरभ्य अनुबन्धसंज्ञकशकारं यावत् विद्यमानानां सर्वेषाम् अपि वर्णानाम् इत्युक्ते वर ल. So I am not going to include these anubandhas. Turn and so on are to be excluded. So वर ल यम गण न झभ घढ द जब गड द इति सर्वेषाम् अपि वर्णानां समूह रूपेण निर्देशं करोति. So when the question is asked, what is Vasha? Vasha is a short form that indicates this entire set. And मध्ये विद्यमानाः अनुबन्धाः तथा च अन्तिमः अनुबन्धः अपि अत्र समूहे नैव स्वीक्रियते. This particular laghurup called Vasha has a technical term in Sanskrit grammar. It is called Pratyahara. सो यैः लघुरूपैः विशिष्टवर्णसमूहस्य निर्देशः भवति तानि लघुरूपाणि प्रत्याहार नाम्ना ज्ञायन्ते यथा वश इति प्रत्याहारः अस्ति. In the same way, for example, if you take this and keep on walking till a ch will be another pratyahara. If you take, for example, and keep on walking all the way till the end till l will be yet another pratyahara. In fact, if you start with and walk all the way till the end till the last l, a l will be yet another pratyahara. In this way, mathematically, many pratyaharas are possible. It's a simple permutation combination problem that college students can solve, that you take any starting letter, say a, e, u, ru, lu, keep on going, and you can stop at any terminal anubandha, and then that would be a pratyahara. However, are all these whatever 300 400 pratyaharas are possible, are all these used in Ashtadhyayi? So the answer is no. यद्यपि बहवः प्रत्याहाराः सम्भवन्ति तथापि पाणिनीयव्याकरणे केवलं 43 प्रत्याहाराः एव प्रयुक्ताः दृश्यन्ते. You see only 43 pratyaharas used in the Paniniya Vyakarana. Out of these, 41 pratyaharas are used explicitly in Ashtadhyayi Sutras. One pratyahara is used in the Vartika, but it is not in any sutra. So 41 plus 1 is 42. And there is yet another pratyahara which is used in the Unadi Sutras. So that's the 43. So technically अष्टाध्याय्यां सूत्रपाठे केवलम् एकचत्वारिंशत् प्रत्याहाराः तदनन्तरम् एकः प्रत्याहारः वार्तिककारेण प्रयुक्तः अस्ति. So this doesn't mean that Vartikakara uses only one pratyahara. Vartikakara will use the pratyahara that are already used by Ashtadhyayi. In addition, there will be yet another extra pratyahara that Vartikakara uses which Ashtadhyayi hasn't used. So that extra pratyahara is being included. And then there will be yet another pratyahara which is neither used by Ashtadhyayi nor by Vartikakara, which is seen in the Unadi Patha. So that is 41 plus 1 plus 1. So we say Paniniya Vyakarane Trichatvarimshat Pratyaharaha Prayuktaha Vartante. And these pratyaharas, their particular purpose is to represent a group of letters in a short form notation. So atra paninina swasya sutreshu varnanam sanक्षेपेण निर्देशं कर्तुं pratyaharaः स्थापिताः santi. So there is this sutram ned vashikriti. Now you don't need to understand the meaning of this, but this vashi is actually saptami ekvachanam of vasha. Just like the way marut becomes maruti, vach becomes vachi. In the same way, vasha will become vashi, and that vasha present in this particular sutra is the pratyahara. Obviously, vasha might mean something else, but here it is pratyahara. So vasha iti atra pratyahara asti. Ataha, this particular sutram ned vashikruti, it will be used in the context of any letter that comes inside the vasha pratyahara, which means vara, la, ya, ma. Any of these letters are eligible for this particular ned vashikruti sutra's application. अनेन प्रकारेण अनुबन्धानां किं प्रयोजनमिति चेत् प्रत्याहार निर्माणम् इति शिवसूत्रेषु विद्यमानानाम् अनुबन्धानां प्रयोजनं वर्तते. Any questions so far? पूर्णिमा भगिनी.
नमस्ते महोदय. एते अनुबन्धाः सन्ति खलु, तत्र एते एव किमर्थं ण इत्येव किम् अत्र स्थाने किमर्थम् अन्यः वर्णः न प्रयुज्यते?
So the answer to this question is Ashoka Vatika Nyaya. Do you know what is Ashoka Vatika Nyaya? No? Anybody knows what is Ashoka Vatika Nyaya? I'm surprised nobody knows in the class what is Ashoka Vatika Nyaya. So why did Ravana put Sita only in the Ashoka Vatika? Why not in coconut vatika? Why not in amra vatika? So the answer is, if he would have put her in Narikela Vatika, the same question would have asked, why Narikela Vatika? Why not Ashoka Vatika? So some choice has to be done, and a random choice was done by Panini. He could have used whatever letters he wants. So he uses Kurga. Now there are research papers that will talk about some kind of logic, like why he uses t only and why he uses m only and so on. But these are basically mental speculations or thought experiments. In general, there was no reason. He just wanted to use different letters so as to avoid all sorts of ambiguities. So except for this Lana and Ayuna, I'm going to talk about that, why the same letter is used. Again, that's a speculation, but the speculation is done by Bhashyakara, so it has some weightage as against the speculation done by people like me. But other than that, everywhere you have a different Anubandha, and there is no particular reason why a particular letter has been used. अन्यः प्रश्नः अस्ति चेत् ओके, अग्रे गच्छामः। इदानीं प्रत्याहाराणां निर्माणं यदा क्रियते, वश् इति मया अत्र निर्दिष्टं, वश् इति प्रत्याहारः अस्ति। अस्य प्रत्याहारस्य निर्माणार्थं मध्ये मध्ये विद्यमानाः अनुबन्धाः न स्वीक्रियते। व इत्यस्मात् श इति पर्यन्तं यदा प्रत्याहारस्य निर्माणं भवति, तदा टकारस्य, णकारस्य, मकारस्य च ग्रहणं तत्र न क्रियते। प्रश्नः अत्र अस्ति, एतादृशम् अनुबन्धानां ग्रहणं प्रत्याहारनिर्माणे किमर्थं न भवति? न भवति तस्य किमपि कारणं, तस्य प्रूफ अस्ति वा? What is the proof that? So two things. First, why anubandhas are not included? किमर्थं तत्र ग्रहणं न भवति? तथा च ग्रहणं न भवति तस्य proof किमपि अस्ति वा? So the answer to both the questions is actually given in Kashika in the discussion of this I Ouch Sutra. So as I mentioned, Kashika is the Vritti Grantha. It talks about the sutras in sequence, as against Siddhanta Kaumudi, which talks about Prakriya. अतः काशिकायां वृद्धिरादैच इति सूत्रस्य पाठनात् पूर्वं सर्वेषां शिवसूत्राणाम् अपि व्याख्या दत्ता वर्तते। तत्र ऐ औच् इत्यस्य सूत्रस्य व्याख्यायाम्, I think we already have this on our website. So if you go to Kashika, I think so Kashika Vritti, in the Pratyahara section, if you go to this I Ouch Sutra, there is this particular line which is present over here. प्रत्याहारेऽनुबन्धानां कथमज्ग्रहणेषु न आचारादप्रधानत्वात् लोपश्च बलवत्तरः. So this particular line, I have also quoted it on the slide over here. प्रत्याहारेऽनुबन्धानां कथमज्ग्रहणेषु न. So अनुबन्धानाम् अच् ग्रहणेषु, अच् इति प्रत्याहार ग्रहणेषु अनुबन्धानां ग्रहणं कथं न भवति? While creating pratyaharas like acha. So if a question is asked, what is acha? I would say a, e, u, ru, lu, a, o, I, o. I will not include na, ka, nga, and obviously I will not include cha. So एतस्मिन् प्रत्याहारे अनुबन्धानां ग्रहणं कथं न भवति? किं कारणं, किं प्रयोजनम् इति प्रश्नः. So the first line of the Karika gives the question and the next line gives the answer. आचारात् अप्रधानत्वात् लोपश्च बलवत्तरः. Three reasons have been given why the anubandhas are not included in the pratyaharas. The first reason is acharat, the second is apradhanatvat, and the third is lopascha balavattaraha. Let us understand these one by one. Acharat. The word achara, which means shishta achara, shishtachara, panditaihi, shishtaihi bhashayam ye shabda prayogaha kriyante. तेषां शब्दप्रयोगाणाम् आधारेण इदं स्पष्टीभवति यत् प्रत्याहारग्रहणे अनुबन्धस्य ग्रहणं न क्रियते. So purely by looking at the words in the language, it is very easily understood that in a pratyahara, the anubandhas are not to be included. You may ask how. So let's understand that with an example. Let us assume the contrary, like how we do in mathematics. You assume that the sum of angles of a triangle is not 180 degrees, and then you do some calculations and then you come to a contradiction. We are going to do exactly the same thing. Let us take this pratyahara acha. You can do this exercise for any pratyahara, but because Kashika does this exercise for acha pratyahara, in the karika also katham ach grahaneshu na. So he specifically says ach pratyahara. So we will take the ach pratyahara. Now let's take this acha pratyahara, which technically we know contains a, e, u, ru, lu, a, o, I, o. But for the sake of this argument, let us assume that ach pratyahara also contains nakara, it also contains kakara, it also contains nakara and chakara. So it contains the intermediate anubandhas also. Now understand that we have rules in Ashtadhyayi that talk about sandhis, specifically to the ach varnas, to the swaras. So all of you know that there is a guna sandhi. All of you know there is a yana sandhi. There is a vruddhi sandhi, ayadi sandhi. Any time two ach letters come together, a sandhi will happen. A and E cannot sit side by side, it will become O. E and A cannot sit side by side, E will become Y. Now we are going to use this particular observation. Ach iti varnena yatra bhinnaha sandhi niyamaha ashtadhyayam uktaha vartante. And in all these sandhi niyamas, Panini refers to the word ach again and again and again. So iko yan achi. So he is going to refer to ach. Akaha savarne dirghaha. That's the sutra for the savarna dirgha sandhi. He uses aka. Echo yavayavaha. That's the sutra for ayadi sandhi. He uses echo. So let's take an example of acha, which is used in iko yan achi. So yana sandhi happens when there is an e letter or an u letter and then there is another ach in front. Now observe the sutra patha. The immediate second sutra in the sutra patha, vruddhiradaich adeng gunaha. It has this particular word guna in the sutra patha itself. Panini himself has used this word, which means guna is a valid word in Sanskrit language. But what is the varnacheda of guna? You have ga, then you have u, then you have na, and then you have a. So you see a sequence of u plus na, two entities are side by side. Now u is an ach letter, and as per our assumption, na is also an ach letter because it is present in I una, and we are assuming the anubandhas as a part of pratyahara, as a part of ach letter. Therefore, when u and na come side by side, the yana sandhi must kick in. Just like the way u plus a will create a yana sandhi, sadhu plus atra sadhuatra, or say bahu plus atra bahuatra, bahu plus iti bahviti. Anytime you have u followed by an ach letter, bahu plus etat bahvetat, yana sandhi will kick in. So whenever you have u followed by a seemingly ach letter, yana sandhi must kick in, which means instead of u, you must get a vakara as a yanadesha. But then the word guna cannot be created, and the word guna is a valid word in the language. It is seen in the sutram adengunaha. Therefore, nakara cannot be included in ach pratyahara, and follows, and with multiple examples, it will follow that no anubandhas can be included in any of the pratyahara. QED. So that's where the argument ends. Let me repeat it for those who have not understood. Actually, it is present on the slide. So let's actually read the slide so that you can understand it again. So acharat means the usage done in the language. Shishtaihi bhashayam krutaihi shabda prayogaihi idam spashti bhavati yat pratyahara grahane anubandhasya grahanam na bhavati. किमर्थमिति चेत अच इति प्रत्याहारं स्वीकुर्मः. सो अच इति प्रत्याहारे यदि अनुबंधस्य इत्युक्ते णकारस्य ग्रहणं स्यात् तर्हि यणसन्धेः नियमः कः अस्ति? व्हाट इज द रूल ऑफ यणसन्धि? द नियम ऑफ यणसन्धि, द रूल ऑफ यणसन्धि is when there is ukara as the purva letter and when there is acha as the para letter, ukara gets converted to va. For example, sadhu plus atra, let's not take sadhu, vadhu. The reason is because sadhu is not a valid subanta. So I just wanted to say bahu, which is a valid subanta. So bahu plus atra will become bauhatra. U is converted to va. Bahu plus adi, bauhadi. Bahu plus iti, bauviti. Anytime there is ach letter, so I'm going in the sequence. I used a, bahu plus atra will be bahuatra. I used e, bahu plus iti, bhaviti. I used u, bahu plus uttamaha. There is a different, yana sandhi will be applicable and then the savarna dirgha will block it. So we'll talk about it later. And then, but some sandhi happens, whether yana or not, some sandhi happens. And then comes ana. Now, if you assume ana to be the part of acha, then obviously u plus ana must convert ukara to vakara. So instead of guna, you should say ga followed by va followed by na followed by a, because u has been converted to vakara because of an ach letter in the front. But guana, whatever is pronounced, is not a valid word. Rather, guna is a valid word, and therefore, purely by the fact that the language has words like guna or veena, there is an e and then an a, or runam, there is a ru and then na. Eteshu shabdeshu ikavarnadanantaram nakaraha, which is supposedly an ach letter, nakaraha asti chedapi ikvarnasya yanadeshaha na bhavati. So these words itself, and you can see many such words, these words itself give a proof. This achara gives a proof that acha cannot include an akara. Similarly, acha cannot include kakara. So anunasika. If you take this word, it's a valid word in the language. But anunasika, in that C, there is an ikara and then immediately kakara comes after it. So if kakara is included in the ach letter, E and K will cause a yada sandhi and an E will be converted to Y. That does not happen. Anunasika is a valid word. Therefore, all these valid words in the language collectively referred by Shishtachara or Achara indicate the fact that अनुबंधानां प्रत्याहार निर्माणे ग्रहणं न भवति. अतः अच्य इति प्रत्याहारे यदि ऐ उण सूत्रस्य नकारस्य ग्रहणं स्यात् तर्हि वीणा गुणः ऋणम् इत्यादिषु शब्देषु इक वर्णात् अनन्तरं णकारे इत्युक्ते अच् वर्णे परे इक् वर्णस्य यणादेशः अभविष्यत् तादृशः यणादेशः प्रयोगे न दृश्यते. So that's the first argument, acharat. The second argument is apradhanatvat. Apradhana means a secondary. Pradhana means primary. So if you look at this first Shiva Sutram, what is the pradhana? What is the main entity that is being discussed? A, E, U, Ru, Lu. So they are all technically known as swaraha as far as the Matruka Patha is concerned. Sprinkled between these swaras are the Vyanjanas. So अत्र प्रधानः विषयः स्वराः इति अस्ति. अप्रधानः इत्युक्ते गौणः विषयः णकार ककार इति अस्ति. कश्चन तत्र न्यायः वर्तते. प्रधानस्य ग्रहणे अप्रधानस्य ग्रहणं न भवति. In normal language also we say when two great people are talking, small people should not interject in between. They should keep quiet. That's exactly what is happening. When it is a collection of all the swaras, the intermediate ka and so on are not to be included in that collection because they are not swaras. Therefore, they do not get included in the ach pratyahara. So ayun ityasmin prathame maheshwara sutre णकारं विहाय अन्ये सर्वे स्वराः उपदिष्टाः सन्ति. णकारात् अनन्तरमपि रुलुक् इत्यत्र अनुबन्धम् इत्युक्ते ककारं विहाय अन्ये स्वराः एव वर्तन्ते। अतः अत्र माहेश्वरसूत्रेषु इत्युक्ते ऐ उण् रुलुक् इत्यादिषु आदिषु चतुर्षु माहेश्वरसूत्रेषु स्वरोपदेशः स्वराणाम् उपदेशः प्रधानः अस्ति। एतेषां स्वराणां रचनायाः मध्ये स्थापितानि ण क ङ एतानि व्यञ्जनानि अप्रधानानि सन्ति, सेकेण्डरी नॉन इम्पोर्टेण्ट्। प्रधानस्य ग्रहणे अप्रधानस्य ग्रहणं न भवति इति न्यायः वर्तते। एतं न्यायम् अनुसृत्य अत्र अचाम मध्ये अत्र अचाम ग्रहणे when you take ach as a pratyahar मध्यगानाम इत्युक्ते व्यंजनानां ग्रहणं न भवति. So that's the अप्रधानत्व, the second argument. And the third argument, लोपश्च बलवत्तरः. Ashtadhyayi has a sutram called tasya lopaha 1.3.3 tasya lopaha. This sutram is written by Panini specifically for removing the anubandhas before any prakriya happens. So remember, we have seen this earlier in the discussion of Dhatu Patha also. Dhatushu vidyamanaha anubandhaha prakriyayaha prarambhe eva lupyante. The sutra for that is 133 tasya. Tasya ityukte tasya anubandhasya lopaha. So when Panini has explicitly told us to get rid of the anubandhas in the beginning, there is no need to keep that anubandha and create a pratyahara. So pratyaharaha api sutrenaiva siddhyati. We are going to learn this in the next few classes. There is a sutram called adirantyena saheta in 1.1 itself. So adirantyena saheta sutram is used to create a pratyahara. Now when a sutra of Ashtadhyayi has to be applied, we must make sure that the it words are it letters, the anubandha letters are removed, because that's how the prakriya goes. You always remove the anubandha first and then you proceed for every other work. अतः अनुबन्धलोपस्य निर्देशार्थं पाणिनि महर्षिभिः तस्य लोपः इति पृथक् सूत्रं स्थापितमस्ति. पृथक् सूत्रविधान सामर्थ्यात् अयं लोपः प्रक्रियायाः प्रारम्भे एव भवति. एतादृशे लोपे कृते 1171 आदिरन्त्येन सहेता इति सूत्रस्य आधारेण प्रत्याहाराः सिद्ध्यन्ति. So you first get rid of ण क ङ च and so on. Get rid of means you remember that they were there because they will have some prayojana. Otherwise, why will Panini put random letters like this? So for all practical process, you get rid of them. But you remember there was a ch over here. You use that for creating the pratyahara. And when asked what is there in this pratyahara, you don't include the na, you don't include the ka, you don't include the nga, and you don't include the ch. Anena prakarena acharat apradhanatvat तथा च लोपश्च बलवत्तरः इति त्रयः विषयाः त्रीणि प्रयोजनानि अनुबन्धानां प्रत्याहारग्रहणे किमर्थं ग्रहणं न भवति इत्यस्य स्पष्टीकरणरूपेण दीयन्ते. एनी क्वेश्चन्स? पूर्णिमा भगिनी.
महोदय, तत्र सूत्राणां निर्माणार्थमेव एताः स्थापिताः इति उक्ते चेत् अलं न वा? किमर्थम् एतस्य विश्लेषणस्य आवश्यकता अस्ति इति?
कस्य विश्लेषणस्य आवश्यकता अस्ति?
अनुबन्धानां ग्रहणं किमर्थं न भवति?
किमर्थमिति चेत् इको यणचि इति सूत्रे अच् इति पाणिनिना प्रत्याहारः स्थापितः. इदानीम् अच् इति प्रत्याहारे नकारः ककारः ङकारः विद्यते वा इति प्रश्नः तत्र तस्य पाणिनिना स्पष्टरूपेण उत्तरं दत्तं नास्ति. अतः इदं चिन्तनं शास्त्रैः क्रियते.
अस्तु, धन्यवादः.
केवलम् अच् इति उच्यते चेत् णकारस्य ग्रहणं भवति उत न इति स्पष्टं नास्ति. अतः अस्य उत्तरं दीयते. एनी फर्दर क्वेश्चन्स? So अग्रे गच्छामः. So how many pratyaharas are there? A total of 41 pratyaharas. एते सर्वेपि प्रत्याहाराः एकया कारिकया संक्षिप्तरूपेण स्थापिताः वर्तन्ते. So not all pratyaharas, but at least the count. So एकं त्रीणि पुनश्चैकं चत्वारि एकं त्रयं चतुः देकं द्वे षट् तथैवेकं पञ्च पञ्च षडेव च. Now you'll ask me what's this? Only numbers are written. So basically what this particular karika encodes is how many pratyaharas are possible with each anubandha. So you have to count. You start with the first nakara and you say with the first nakara only one pratyahara is possible. Which is that pratyahara? It will not tell you, but only one pratyahara is possible. With the next kakara, you have three pratyaharas possible. So, I mean, I can give you the answers. Which one pratyahara is possible with the nakara? Ana is the pratyahara possible with the first nakara. With the kakara, three pratyaharas are possible. So, akka is one pratyahara, ikka is a second pratyahara, and ukka is third pratyahara. So, each of the I, u that makes a pratyahara with ka. Actually, in fact, it is there on this slide. So, ruluk ityasya kakarena trayah pratyaharaha, akka, ikka, and ukka. The next is eong punaha ekam. So, eong ityasya kakarena ekaha pratyaharaha. Combine this a with this ng, that becomes aong. Aiouch ityasya chakarena chatvarah pratyaharaha. So this cha, so that's the chatvari. So that this chakara gives four pratyaharas. So you have acha, you have icha, you have echa, and you have aicha. Acha, icha, echa, aicha. The next one hayavarata punaha ekam, ekaha pratyahara. And so on. You can actually go through this table. There's no point in me walking you through this table again and again. In fact, on our website, you have this all the way at the beginning. You have this pratyaharavali. Go and explore this. All the pratyaharas are given in the same sequence. So anakarena ekaha, kakarena trayaha, ngakarena ekaha, chakarena chatvaraha, and so on. The expansion of each pratyahara is given and a sample example of a sutra. There can be many sutras, obviously, but sample example. So this ana is used in dralope purvasya dirghonaha. This akka is used in akassavarne dirghaha. This asha, for example, is used in bho bhago ago apurvasya yaha ashi. This jaya, for example, is used in jayo honyatarasyam, and so on. Sometimes a sutra will use multiple pratyaharas. So, for example, jasha, this pratyahara, the example given is jhalam, jash, jhashi. So, three pratyaharas is used. Jhal pratyahara is also over there. Maybe the same thing is given as an example for jhal pratyahara. A different one is given. Okay. So, jhalam, this is an example for jhal pratyahara also. Jasha, this is an example for jash pratyahara. And jashi, so this sutra is also an example of jash pratyahara. In fact, there is a question in the homework today for you to find out three examples from this page only where three different pratyaharas are used. Other words are also possible. So, for example, look at this particular sutram. Ekacho, basho, bhajashantastis, dvoho. Three pratyaharas are used. Other words are there like ekacho and so on. In fact, ekacha also has acha. So, there is one pratyahara, acha. Basho, so that's bash. So, that's the second pratyahara. Bhasha, that's the third pratyahara. And jasha, that's the fourth pratyahara. So, four pratyaharas are used in this particular sutra. Like that, some examples are given over here. This is mainly for your self-study. You will need to refer to that page for the homework. I just want to highlight a few points before going ahead. You can see this yama, which is highlighted over here, and this chaya, which is this highlighted in this kapaya section. These two highlighted pratyaharas are those additional two pratyaharas. So remember, we said 41 plus 2. One present only in the Vartikas and other present only in the Unadi Sutras. So chaya is used only in the Vartika. Chayo dvitiya shari paushkara saderiti vacham. So that's the Vartika which uses the chaya pratyahara. So this is in the Vartika. And yam is a pratyahara. Yamanta daha is the Unadi Sutram. So yama pratyahara is in the Unadi Sutram. So this is a pratyahara which is not used in Ashtadhyayi, used in Unadi Sutra. Chaya is not used in Ashtadhyayi, it is used in Vartika. All others are used in Ashtadhyayi. Another point I want to, so there is a question, if how many pratyaharas are there? Should I say 41 or 43? You should say 43 because 43 is the accepted number of pratyaharas. If the question is Ashtadhyayi Sutra Pathe Kati Pratyahara Santi, the answer will be 41. But in general, Paniniya Vyakarane Kati Pratyahara Santi, the answer will be 43. Another point over here, there is this Ranakara over here and there is another Ranakara over here. So sometimes it may be confusing. So for example, if I say Ana, it is not immediately clear whether Ana becomes this with the first Rana because if it goes with the first ana, then it will only include a, e, u. And if I say ana with the second ana, then it will include a, e, u, ru, lu, a, o, I, o, h, y, v, r, and l. Interestingly, there is an ana pratyahara starting from ayuna, and there is another ana pratyahara for that ends with the ana of the lana. So if you just look at the sutram which has the word called ana, it is not immediately obvious whether that talks about the ayuna pratyahara ana, which means only a, e, and u, or if it represents the ana associated with the lana pratyahara, which means a bunch of middle letters. That will be clear from the commentaries. Other than that, there is no overlap. All the pratyaharas are different. As far as E is concerned, there is ina pratyahara, but ina is always this last ina. Ina is not the first ina at all. So if you see this section, there is an ina pratyahara, but ina is always the last, so there is never a confusion. But for ana, there is a confusion because some sutras might have ana with the first ana, some sutras might have ana with the second ana. I'm going to talk about it in one of the upcoming slides. We have some 2 or 3 more slides remaining. Agre gacchamaha. So some important pratyaharas that you should always remember. I mean, as a student of Paninian grammar, I would definitely recommend remembering all 43 pratyaharas. But in the beginning part of your study, at least some important pratyaharas that you should definitely remember. A l, starting from a all the way up to the last l. So everything, a l, all varnaha. Ach, swaraha, hal, vyanjanani. Yana are all antasthas. Shal is all ushmanas. So sh to l towards the end are all ushmanas. Here sh, sir and hal. And yana is all antasthas. Then we have hash and khar, which is mrudu vyanjanani and karkasha vyanjanani. So hash starting from this h up to this sh is the mrudu vyanjanani. Khar starting from this kh to this r is karkasha vyanjanani. Then you have some pratyaharas for Varga Panchama, Varga Chaturtha, Varga Tritiya, Varga Prathama. Varga Dvitiya is not there. Similarly, you have pratyaharas for combinations. Varga Tritiya Chaturthaha, Varga Prathama Dvitiyaha, and Varga Prathama Dvitiya Tritiya Chaturthaha. So the Jaya, Khasha, Jaya, sorry, Jasha, Khaya, Jaya, and so on. And then you have Swara plus Mrudu Vyanjanani, Antastha plus Vargiya Vyanjanani. So some other important combinations have been given. Yarra is another very interesting pratyahara. It includes hakaram vihaya sarvani vyanjanani. So if you see this, we start with this year, go all the way till this r of shashasara. So we are just excluding the initial h and we are just excluding the final h. So we are not including the h, and all the other vyanjanas are included. So yar is a pratyahara which has hakaram vihaya sarvani vyanjanani. So you should remember these pratyaharas for sure. All others you are most welcome to remember. Now we are almost reaching end of the class. There are 2 points I want to cover, 3 rather, but let me first focus on 2. First is hakarasya dvivaram grahanam kimartham krutamasti, and the second is anakarasya dvivaram grahanam kimartham krutamasti. Now hakarasya dvivaram grahanam, why is h added in hayavarata and why is h added separately in hala? It is a lack of choice. It is a compulsion. The sutras have been arranged in such a way, the pratyaharas that Panini uses are constructed in such a way that we have no choice but to keep 2 copies of Hakara. It is not possible, you can prove this mathematically, it is not possible to keep the current Sutra Patha unchanged and just use 1 Hakara. Obviously, you can create a new sutra patha, or you can remove or rearrange multiple sutras, change the sutras. If you do all that, you can do whatever you want. We are not talking about that. But in the current condition of Ashtadhyayi Sutra Patha, it is not possible to achieve all the existing sutras with only 1 hakara, and that is the reason why Panini is forced to create 2 hakaras. So let's understand why. So hakarasya dvivaram grahanam avashyakam kimarthamasti. Now observe that we want ach, all the swaras, and we want hal, all the vyanjanas, as 2 separate pratyaharas. So you cannot mix and match the swaras and the vyanjanas. Therefore, there must be one group called Acha and one group called Hala, and that Hakara must be in that group called Hala. Let's not use the word Acha and Hala. Let's use Swaras and Vyanjanas. So we need one group of Swaras and one group of Vyanjanas, and Hakara cannot be sitting inside the group of Swaras. Hakara must be in the group of Vyanjanas. But now recollect that on the previous slide, we have this Yara Pratyahara, which includes Hakaram Vihaya Sarvani Vyanjanani, which means that whatever arrangement of Vyanjanas is present, Hakara cannot sit in between. Why? Because then some of the letters would be to the left, some of the letters would be to the right, and you cannot construct a Pratyahara like Yara, which contains all Vyanjanas without Hakara. If you want the Yara Pratyahara, if you want to create all Vyanjanas together without Hakara, then you must have an arrangement of all Vyanjanas except Hakara together, which means Hakara can either be at the left end or Hakara can be at the right end. So understand the compulsion, understand the the constraints in which Panini is creating the Shiva Sutras, or he got the Shiva Sutras. So you have Swaras at one end, you have Vyanjanas at other end, and in the Vyanjanas, Hakara must be to the leftmost or to the rightmost. So this is the invariant, this is the constraint that we are going to work with. So Maheshwara Sutranam Rachanayam Hakaraha Anyesham Vyanjanana Madhye Sthapayitum Na Shakyaha यतो हि तादृशं क्रियते चेत् यर् प्रत्याहारः न सिद्ध्यति अतः सर्वेषां व्यञ्जनानाम् आवलीं कृत्वा अस्याः आवल्याः प्रारम्भे नो चेत् अन्ते हकारः स्थापनीयः. So you should create an entire list of all the vyanjanas so that yara can be created, and then you place hakara at one end or you can place hakara at the other end. Now, if you place hakara near yavarala, whichever is the place, I mean, it can be at either end, but you need one hakara near yavarala. So, hakaraha yavara ittetesham yoge avashyam bhavet. Kimarthamiti chet, you need the combined structure of ha, yavara in various pratyaharas like at, hash, ina, ash, and so on. Observe this. Atta is from, let me clean this up. So atta is from ayun up to hayavarat, and you need hayavarat together. Similarly, hasha is from this ha to sha, and you need hayavarat together. Similarly, ina is from this e to this na, and you will need hayavarat together. Similarly, asha is all the way to this sha, and you will need hayavarat together. So hayavara must be together. That is one constraint. Therefore, hakaraha yavara ityetesham yoge avashyam bhavet. So understand the constraints that we are playing in. Hakara must be at one end and it must be next to yavara. So let's put yavara at one end and put hakara over there. But then hakara should also be in the close proximity with sha, sha, sa. So hakaraha shakara shakara sakaranam yoge api avashyam bhavet. Kimarthamiti chet, there is a pratyahara called vala. So let's clean this once again. So there is a pratyahara called vala which includes sha, sha, sa, ha. There is a pratyahara called rala starting from this ra to this la, which includes sha, sha, sa, ha. There is a pratyahara called jhala which includes sha, sha, sa, ha. There is a pratyahara called shala which includes sha, sha, sa, ha. So there are pratyaharas for which hakara meets in a tight association with sha, sha, sa. So as per the previous argument, hakara needs to be in a tight association with yavar. As per the second bullet, hakara needs to be in tight association with sha, sha, sa. Now, hakara cannot be in tight association with both of them if it is present only at one end. Because if it is present at one end, it will be in association with yavara, but not with sha, sha, sa, but or the reverse. Therefore, we need two copies of hakara. One for associating with yavara, and second for associating with sha, sha, and sa. Ataha atra प्रथमायां सीमायां नो चेत् एकस्यां सीमायां यकार वकार रेफैः सह हकारः स्थापनीयः अपरस्यां सीमायां शकार शकार सकारैः सह हकारः स्थापनीयः अनेन प्रकारेण हकारस्य शिवसूत्रेषु द्विवारं ग्रहणम् आवश्यकं वर्तते. And then some more calculations, and one of these hakaras can be put separately, but other does not need to be put separately, because putting separately means additional Shiva Sutra is needed. So that is required in one end because you want the yara pratyahara. So anyway you want a pratyahara that cannot include hakara. Therefore this last hakara is put separately, whereas the first hakara is included with ya, va and ra. अनेन प्रकारेण हकारस्य द्विवारं ग्रहणं शिवसूत्रेषु आवश्यकं वर्तते. Now, if the argument is not clear, watch the video again. We can discuss it again in the next class if you want, or on the group. But it is important that you take pen and paper and actually work this out and understand yourself why hakara is required in two places in the Shiva Sutras. This is a pure mathematical argument. There is a logical reasoning why hakara is present in the two places. Now let's talk about णकार. णकारः द्विवारं किमर्थं तत्र स्थापितः अस्ति? So Bhashyakara asks this question and starts with a very rhetorical comment. Bhashyakara says, Kim punaha varnotsaptau iva. Varnotsapti means nash of the letters. So Bhashyakara is saying, is there a destruction of all letters? Panini has forgotten all letters and therefore has he included Dakara two times? I mean, he could have just included some other letter, say Thakar or say whatever, Nakar. Any letter which was not seen in any other Shiva Sutras as Anubandha, it was possible to be included over here. Why has Panini included the Nakara again when he has actually included Nakara in Ayuna? So kim punaha varnotsatau iva nakaraha dvihi anubadhyate. Are all the varnas over and Panini is forced to repeat a varna? But if that is the case, he would have repeated at the end. I just say ayun, ruluk, ayong, ayo, chayvarat and again come back to na. Or was Panini so negligent? Somebody who created 4,000 sutras did not even think that I am using nakara twice. So obviously none is the answer. The answer is that etadnyapayati acharyah bhavati esha paribhasha vyakhyanato vishesha pratipattirnahi sandehad lakshanam. Understand this argument. Bhashyakara says that Panini has explicitly put an akara over there. He has purposely put an akara over there because he wants the students to think he wants the students to ask a question why Panini has put an extra nakara. So he wants the students to get into doubt. He wants the students to have a sandeha. And once there is a sandeha, there are two choices. One is you can be happy by saying Panini was idiot and he did not write the sutra correctly. Or you can say, well, there must be some reason. Let me open the Vyakhyanas and see. And Panini wants us to explicitly choose the second path. And this is an indication, this is a hidden gem or hidden secret that by which Panini, which is encoded by Panini by writing Nakara two times. So Nakarasya dvivaram grahanam kimartham कृतमस्ति इति चेत् अनेन ग्रहणेन पाणिनिः एतद् ज्ञापयितुम् इच्छति यत् यत्र यत्र सूत्राणाम् अध्ययन समये मनसि संदेहः उत्पद्येत तत्र तत्र सूत्रकारस्य अयं दोषः सूत्रमेव इदम् अनुचितम् इति न वक्तव्यम् अपितु व्याख्यानानाम् आधारेण प्रश्नस्य उत्तरं प्राप्तव्यम्. So the question over here was, if the nakara, so understand, the actual question is not whether nakara, why nakara is used twice. It is again Ashoka Vatikanya. You can use whatever you want. The actual question is, if I say ana, then is it with the first anakara or is it with the next anakara? So ana iti vadamaschet kasya anakarasya adharena saha pratyaharah svikriyate. So given a sutra, say dhralope purvasya dirghonaha, ana in that sutra is associated with which anakara? So is it ayuna or is it lana? So the Answer to that question will be obtained from commentaries. So, Maheshwara Sutre णकारस्य द्विवारं ग्रहणेन द्वौ अण प्रत्याहारो भवतः. So technically in is also two times, ina with ayuna and ina with lana. अस्यां स्थितौ अण प्रत्याहार घटितानां इण प्रत्याहार घटितानां च सूत्राणां सम्यक् अर्थस्य अवगमने क्लेशः सन्देहः उत्पद्यते. एतादृशः सन्देहः अवश्यम् उत्पद्येत इति पाणिनेः एव इच्छा अस्ति इति अत्र भाष्यकारस्य आशयः. Why? तत्किमर्थमिति चेत् एतादृशे सन्देहे जाते पाणिनेः सूत्रेषु एव दोषाः सन्ति इति न चिन्तनीयम्, अपितु व्याख्यानानाम् आधारेण अयं सन्देहः निराकर्तव्यः इति स्वयं पाणिनिः अस्मान् ज्ञापयितुम् इच्छति. So this particular paribhasha, most of you have answered this in the homework. Vyakhyanato vishesha pratipattirnahi sandehad lakshanam. This particular paribhasha, which says that when you are in doubt, do not think sutra is wrong, but go to the vyakhyanas. This paribhasha is indirectly hinted by Panini Maharshi by writing a double nakara and by generating a sandeha in your mind that given ana, is it purva nakara or paranakara? Given ina, is it purva nakara or paranakara? अतः णकारस्य इदं द्विवारग्रहणं ज्ञापकरूपेण स्वीकृत्य भाष्यकारेण व्याख्यानतो विशेषप्रतिपत्तिर्न हि सन्देहादलक्षणम् इति परिभाषा अपि पाठिता वर्तते. यत्र सूत्राणाम् अवगमने क्लेशः भवति तत्र सूत्रे दोषः अस्ति इति न चिन्तनीयम्, अपि तु व्याख्यानानाम् आधारेण विषयस्य अध्ययनं करणीयम् इति अस्याः परिभाषायाः आशयः. And immediately, as a demonstration of this, Bhashyakara says, therefore, I am writing the commentary. Let me answer the doubt that has come into your mind. So the doubt is not why Nakara is used twice. The answer would be Ashoka Vatika Nyayo. The doubt is Ana ityanena kasya grahanam, Ina ityanena kasya grahanam. So let me answer that. The Bhashyakara says that in the sutram called Anudit Savarnasya Cha Pratyayaha, it is paranakara. Everywhere else it is purvanakara for ana. So ana iti pratyaharasya vishaye anudit savarnasya iti sutre paranakara. Anyatra sarvatra purvanakara. And ina iti pratyaharaha sarvatra paranakara. So this way Bhashyakara resolves the doubt where the ana with the first ana is to be used, where the ana with the second na is to be used, and where the ina is to be used. There is no ina with the first na, everywhere there is ina with the second na. That's what explained by Bhashyakara. Now on this slide, I don't expect you to understand this particular resolution. So it is okay if you don't understand where the purva nakara is to be used and where the para nakara is to be used. This is not something that I expect you to understand. All that I expect you to understand from this slide is that the Dvivara Nakara that is present in the Shiva Sutras creates a doubt, and it was Panini's intention that the doubt should be created. That indicates indirectly the paribhasha Vyakhyanato Vishesha Pratipattirnahi Sandehad Alakshanam. So that completes our discussion of Nakarasya Dvivaram Grahanam. Now there is one small point, it will take probably 2 or 3 minutes, that's it, not more. So tatra kimasti ayuda ruluka eong ayauch hayavarata tadanantaram lana iti yat sutram vidyate. This sutra has 3 letters, la, a and na. And obviously this na is anubandha. So let me write this down, la, a and na. This na is clearly anubandha. But some scholars, especially the Prachina Vaiyakaranaha, Bhattoji Dikshita, Kayyata and others, some scholars believe that this is also an anubandha. Remember, in the dhatus also we have swaras as anubandhas. They are anunasika swaras. Anunasika swaras like in du, pa, chash, it is anubandha. So in the same way, the of lana, only lana, nowhere else, only lana, the of lana is an anubandha as per the Prachina Vaiyakaranas. So Prachina Vaiyakarana, Kayyata, Bhattoji, Dikshit, and so on say Lada iti Shiva Sutre yaha akaraha asti saha kevalam uchcharanarthah nasti. अन्यत्र सर्वत्र तो केवलम उच्चारणार्थ परंतु लण इति सूत्रे विद्यमानः अकारः अनुबन्धः अस्ति. Why is this anubandha? So these grammarians say that in the sutram hayavarat, you start with a r and you end in that to create a new pratyahara called r. So you start with the r and you end with a. So r plus a will be a new pratyahara called r. Just the letter r is a pratyahara now. Actually, you should say r with an bindu or chandra bindu on the top. So r is a pratyahara, and this r pratyahara, what will it contain? It will contain r. It will not contain t because t is anubandha. It will contain l and it will not contain a because it is anubandha. So this special r pratyahara will simply include two letters r and l. So in the Lana Sutra, this a is considered as Anunasika, and this Anunasika akara combines with r to form a special pratyahara called r pratyahara, which includes only two letters r and l. So r iti pratyaharena rephasya grahanam bhavati, lakarasya grahanam bhavati, and this r pratyahara is used by Panini in one sutra called Urandraparaha. So this is a sutra in 1.1. In this Urandraparaha, this Prachina Vaiyakarana Kayyata and Bhattoji Dikshita say that this ra word in Raparaha is an Anunasika ra and it is a Pratyahara. So you don't need to worry about the meaning of Urandraparaha. All that you have to understand is that in Urandraparaha, that ra is a Pratyahara as per the older grammarians. Now I am telling again and again and again older grammarians because Navya Vaiyakaranaha, the newer grammarians, Navya Vaiyakaranaha do not believe or do not accept this special case. Navya Vaiyakaranaha Lan Pratyaharastha Akarasya Anubandhatvam na svikurvanti. They say that Uran Rapara is a normal R, which is the Repha. It is not a Pratyahara at all. In fact, there is no sutra in Ashtadhyayi that requires a ra pratyahara. Ra is not even a pratyahara. There is no special treatment given to the akara of lana. So this is the Nagesha and others, the Navya Vaiyakarana. So we have two streams of opinions. One stream says that ra is a pratyahara. So additional pratyahara is generated, 43 plus 1. So ahatya chatushchatvarimshat pratyaharaha. Whereas the Navya Vaiyakaranaha say that get rid of all this nonsense, there is no r extra pratyahara, there is no special treatment needed for lana, is normal 43 pratyaharas. And this is a debate in the Vyakarana community. So you can actually see two different books. One book is called Ra Pratyahara Khandanam, which presents arguments why Ra Pratyahara should not be there. And other book says Ra Pratyahara Mandanam. So it's a Mandanam means Upasthapanam, acceptance. So this book will give arguments after arguments for which why Ra Pratyahara should be there. So it is again a Khandana Mandana Parampara seen in our Shastras. Some people believe Ra Pratyahara is not there. Some people will believe Ra Pratyahara is there. Even those who believe in the Ra Pratyahara, that Ra Pratyahara is only for the Sutra Urandraparaha, no other Sutra. So as far as our course is concerned, we will ignore Ra Pratyahara altogether till we actually reach Urandraparaha Sutra. At the discussion of this particular sutra, I will again talk about Ra Pratyahara, without Ra Pratyahara, how the interpretation of the sutra differs and so on. But other than Urandraparaha, this Ra Pratyahara question doesn't come up. So for all our discussion in our course, we will essentially say that there are 43 Pratyaharas and we will not treat Ra as a special Pratyahara for any of our classes except for specific discussion on Urandraparaha that will come up after a few classes. So that's it from my side. If you have any particular questions, please raise hand. There is a question over here. Does it make 41 plus 2 plus 1 pratyahara. So technically it will make 41 plus 2 plus 1. So that's correct. So there is there is a question over here. The question over here says, good observation, that if you go to ashtadhyayi.com and if you keep on scrolling, you see 52 pratyaharas. Now observe that till 43, it's all regular pratyaharas with Maheshwara sutras like hal, wal, ral, jhal, shal, and so on. So these are 43 pratyaharas. The 44th pratyahara is the ra pratyahara, which I taught right now. Starting from 45 onwards up to 52, whatever is present over here is the discussion for the tomorrow's class. So tomorrow's class, Pratyahara topic is going to continue, and I am going to elaborate on what is there starting from number 45 up to number 52. So that's a very good observation, and that actually sets the stage for tomorrow's class. Here is the homework. The homework is very interesting. Pay attention. First of all, Dattam Vishayam Anusrutya Laghu Tippanim Likhata. So write a small note, some 5 lines, 6 lines, 10 lines, and so on. So Maheshwara Sutreshu Hakarasya Dvivaram Dharanam, Varnanam Rachana Paddhatihi, Anubandhanam Prayojanam, then Acharada Pradhanatvat, and so on, and Lant Sutrastha Akaraha, the last thing that we discussed. So write a general note. Second question is very interesting. In the second question, I have given some changes in the Shiva Sutras. So Ayuna Ityasya Sthane I Una. If I change a sutra, which pratyaharas will have a problem? So Maheshwara Sutreshu Adhodattanam Parivartanam Kriyate Chet Kesham Pratyaharanam Siddhau Dosha Utpadyeta Tat Udaharana Rupena. Instead of Samagra Rupena, let's see Udaharana Rupena. So Dvayoho Udaharana Rupena. Dvayoho Pratyaharayoho Udaharana Rupena. Let me make the question simple for you. So when I make a transformation in the Shiva Sutras, instead of Ayuna, if I write Iuna, or instead of Jhabha, if I write Bhajai, will there be a problem in the Shiva Sutras or Pratyahara generation? Obviously, you have the list of Pratyaharas over here. You have to go through this list, only the first 43, 44 entries, and think which Pratyaharas would be problematic and give 2 examples. So, believe me, any one change that you do causes problem in 5, 6, 10 Pratyaharas. So, that's such a tightly generated arrangement. But in order for you to understand this very precisely, this question has been designed, that what would happen if a minor transformation is done in the Shiva Sutra, which pratyaharas would be problematic. If you write all problematic pratyaharas, that's great. But if it is harder for you to select all pratyaharas, dvayoho pratyaharayoho udaharana rupena nirdishata. And if in some weird case no pratyaharas are causing any problem, doshaha na bhavet iti likhata. So anena prakarena etesham dasha prashnanam uttarani vaktavyani. Okay, now there are questions, a few questions. I think Ratnakara Mahoday.
Acharya, namaste. Do not exactly doubts. I see that your approach to the subject is entirely a different one. Pratyaharas and Maheshwar Sutras, when I look into the YouTube channels, they are all casual this thing. But your approach is totally different, and it's really exhaustive, and it's an eye-opener for me. And secondly, what I looked at your homeworks is that you have given a lot of importance for sthana and prayatna as far as a word is concerned. Particularly in exercise 12, when I saw exclusive kantasthanas, exclusive this sthana. Why is it so? Is there any specificity? Normally, anyone for that matter, when looks at a word, it's a casual word. But they don't look at which sthanas are being used or which prayatna is being done. But on the contrary, you question this. Is there any particular reason, Acharya, as far as this course is concerned?
So the only particular reason for that is that given any particular word, it is you should have an immediate understanding of whether a kantha is used, whether a talu is used, and so on. There are 2 reasons for this. One is that there are going to be sutras upcoming in the course where, depending on the sthana, you have to choose a varna. So just you need a precise mapping between the sthana and the varna. That's one. And second, as you go in the advanced studies, for example, you will study kavyas and so on, You will see kavyas that are purely made with kantha varnas, kavyas purely made with talu varnas, and so on. So having a relationship between the ucharana sthana and the varna, and that mapping, like how you have a mapping, red means stop and green means go. Even half in middle of the sleep, you will not be confused. Like that mapping should be there in the brain. That's why this exercise is given.
And another two questions, Acharya. How to easily navigate through Vyakarana Shastra? I don't say, rather, would you give us some tips to navigate ourselves in the Shastra study for an easier navigation?
And the second one, so this question I'll take up after this 20 classes. So what I'm going to do is after class number 20, I want to have one separate class purely for all kinds of doubts. So let's have this question because it is not related to topic. So let's have that question at that particular point in time.
And at the same time, while studying the sutras and all, should we refer to the books like Kashika and Dhatupata, all these things like hard copies? Should we look into that and then understand the things? Or right at this juncture, it is not necessary. Maybe at a later point, that might be necessary.
Again, we'll discuss that on that day. At this moment, it's not needed because we have not started any sutra yet. But I'll give a more detailed answer on in that particular class where we'll only discuss general aspects of Vyakarana.
So if one doesn't study Kashika or Dhatupata, he is not a Vyakarana. Is that so?
See, at this stage, we are so early in the course that I don't expect you to know even one line of Kashika or Dhatupata or whatever. As the course proceeds, we'll learn answers to all these questions. It's too early to mention anything at the moment. Okay. At this moment, all that I'm expecting is watch the videos, you watch the presentations and do the homework properly. That's all. I don't expect anything else beyond that. Any other questions? If not, it's already more than 1.5 hours. We'll stop. So samapayama shvaha asmineva samay vargah bhavishyati. So I have already given you glimpses of what we are going to learn tomorrow. A little bit more explanation of pratyaharas, and there are a few other things also that we will learn tomorrow. Anuvrittis, adhikaras, apakarsha, manduka pliti. These are the things that we are going to learn in tomorrow's class. समापयामः अष्टाध्यायी जगन्माता यस्य चित्तात् समुत्थिता वेदानाम् उपकाराय तस्मै पाणिनिये नमः शब्द ब्रह्म समाराध्य कृतवान्यो विलक्षणं सर्वाश्चर्यमिदं शास्त्रं तस्मै पाणिनिये नमः येन धौता गिरः पुंसां विमलैः शब्दवारिभिः तमश्चाज्ञानजं भिन्नं तस्मै पाणिनिये नमः धन्यवादः।